I'm John Parga-Torres, and today I am taking on a mystery basket challenge in the style of the show Chopped. My colleagues have assembled a basket containing 4 items that I've never seen before, and in the style of Chopped, I'm going to prepare them in 30 minutes. I have to get out 4 plates, and I have to be done within that time frame. So we did some research, and it turns out that on the show, they get about 2 minutes to think because they open the basket, and that takes 45 seconds, and then they film it twice. So we estimate that it might be between 2 and 5 minutes that they had to think. So we've given me 2 minutes to think as I'm examining the ingredients. Okay? So let's start. I'm going to set Alexa, and let's go. Alexa, set timer for 2 minutes.
Okay, so I am going to be narrating this as I watch the video here. So now I am, drop the mic, but I am starting to go through the basket here. And the first thing you can see on the right is rambutans. I didn't recognize them at first. I thought they were lychees, but those are rambutans. Now what I'm unwrapping right now, you can see, is a rabbit. So a rabbit is a very sinewy piece of meat.
Okay, so I have lychee, I have a rabbit.
And in here, this is okra. So okra can be a little slimy depending on how you prepare it. And rambutans take a while to prep because they have a pit in the middle. So here I'm thinking I'm going to have a reasonable amount of prep because I also have to butcher the rabbit. And then this comes along, which is actually an octopus. And it is a rather thin octopus that is not of the firmest texture. And the skin can't be eaten in this octopus. So I'm going to have to clean it, right? So what I'm thinking right now is I have a reasonable amount of prep to do. Yeah, I thought they were kombucha. I was just so focused on this. So here I'm about to start. And I'm thinking about what I'm going to make. And the first thing that I'm thinking about is pan roasting the rabbit. Rabbit can be very tough if you don't cook it right. And one of the optimal ways of cooking it is to braise it. But I'm not going to have enough time for a braise here. So I am going to instead do a pan roast. Okay? So I'm going to butcher the rabbit first.
Alexa, check timer.
And then move on to the onto the octopus. So you can see here the octopus is not very good looking. I've seen much better looking octopus. But, you know, that's what I was presented with. And my colleagues who assembled this really tried to give me something. This is the first one of these I've done, and they tried to give me something that was deliberately pretty challenging. So the basket here again is rabbit, octopus, okra, and rambutans. So I have to assemble the dish, and what I'm thinking right now is surf and turf, obviously, and it would have to be a pan-roasted rabbit, and then I'm going to cook the... Oh, actually, I do the octopus first. Right, that makes sense, yeah. Because that's going to take the longest time to butcher, and I also have to get it poaching. I decided to poach it in olive oil, which is a nice way to delicately cook a octopus in a reasonable amount of time. If you don't have enough time to really braise it for a while, usually you want to cook octopus either for like a minute or an hour. That's pretty much the guideline. And you can see here I'm taking off this skin because it just did not look appetizing. On some octopus, the skin and the suction cups are delicious, but on this one I didn't like how it looked. So I'm just taking the skin off here, and I'm going to present very small portions of this because the rabbit isn't enough for 4 people. My colleagues didn't give me enough rabbit because really, if you're going to serve rabbit, you need 2 for 4 people because you want to serve the loin, which is very small, and the leg. And here I would only be able to serve half of each, so that makes it more difficult to portion. So I'm going to have a very small amount of octopus to accompany this, and I'm going to make it a petite portion. So you can see here that I'm continuing to clean this octopus, and what I'm thinking about right now is how I'm going to cook the okra, because I know that I'm going to pan and roast the rabbit, and in hindsight it could have been more aggressively flavored. It was well seasoned, but in my next challenge I will definitely be thinking about ways to use the time, because frankly, when I was doing this I had excess time. Towards the end, I had a couple of minutes to spare.
Alexa, check timer.
And I keep checking Alexa in this too because I am thinking about the 30 minutes. That's really what is on my mind right now, is doing all this in 30 minutes because I have all this prep. So this octopus is turning out to be a little bit of a prep situation here, and you can see on the upper left, these are the little pieces of octopus that I've isolated as little octopus nuggets, and those will be going into to poach into olive oil to poach. So okra can be very slimy, so what I'm thinking about is to fry it in cornmeal to offset some of that texture. So I know that I have to get my rabbit pan frying or pan roasting. I have to get my octopus poaching, and I have to get my okra frying at the end. And then with the rambutans, I'm going to make a sauce. I'm going to make a Thai red curry coconut sauce. It's something that I like. It's one of my sauces that I use with regularity, and I know that it'll work to bind all of this together, because what this needs is it needs dynamism to the flavor profile, because these are pretty funky ingredients. So what I'm doing is I will be making the sauce out of rambutans that I will be pureeing and breaking down and then putting into the sauce. So now you can see I have the bucket of leftover octopus, and I'm going to put that aside. So now next is going to be the rabbit. So butchering this rabbit is pretty straightforward. I mean, if you haven't seen a rabbit before, maybe it would be a little new for you, but the anatomy of a rabbit, is 4 legs and a loin, and the basics of of anatomy of a mammal. So it's not very difficult to figure out. But you also have to know how to get through it efficiently and not hack it up to bits as you're going through it. So you can see here I have my little pieces of octopus that I've set up. They're little petite pieces. I frankly didn't like this octopus very much that I was given. I'm trying to serve just a little bit of it as a flavor accentuator, more so than a real staple part of the dish, because I do have 4 elements that I can combine together, and I want them to be balanced, right? So here I am starting to put the octopus into the poaching oil, and I am just trimming that a little bit more because the skin on this octopus really did not look appealing. So again, I'm checking the timer with regularity because I am thinking about this 30-minute deadline. Here I am cutting into the rabbit, and I'm just breaking right through the bones like you would with a chicken. And now I'm finding the joint, getting my fingers in between, and then going through it. That's one leg. Now I'm going to make an incision around it. I'm going to find the joint, right? I'm going to break it. Yeah, I'm going to break that joint. And then I'm going to get through the rest of it after the joint's broken. So now I realize that this is a really scrawny rabbit, and there's really not very much to serve with the loin. So I have to make a decision here as to whether I'm going to serve it at all, because I only have 2 legs and a loin for 4 plates, and that's concerning me a little bit. Also, the loin and the legs are going to cook at different rates. So the decision that I ultimately make is just to serve the legs, which is really the best part of the rabbit, and to not serve the loin because it's just looked too small and stringy to me, and refinement is very important. Even if you're making a game meat like rabbit, you have to keep refinement in mind at all times. So you see here I got the loin off, but I just didn't like it. I didn't think that it did anything for the dish, you know. So now I'm considering the rest of it here, and I'm making the call now. I'm looking for anything else that might be servable, to see if there are any meatier parts of the rabbit, and I'm taking off the tips of the front legs, and it just doesn't look good. I just don't like it. So I'm just gonna stick with the legs for this, and I'll have to break them in half so that I have enough for the four servings.
Yes.
So yeah, off camera, one of my colleagues is motioning to me with something, but so now I am going to pan roast the rabbit.
Alexa, check timer.
And the key is going to be to sear it in a very hot pan, because I want that crust on the rabbit skin to be as crispy as I can get it. And I want to also make sure that I'm cooking it just right, and I'm salting it here. You have to cook these all the way through. These should not be served medium rare. But you have to hit it just so that it is just when it hits temperature at about 160, 165 degrees. When it hits temperature, take it out and let it rest. That's why I'm doing it so early, because I do have to let the meat rest if it's going to be optimal. So here I'm taking some high smoke point oil. This is canola oil. And I'm applying it to the pan, checking the temperature. And now I'm putting them in this, hot, dry environment with the oil and getting them pan searing. Now the next thing that I have to do is consider these rambutans, and you'll see that they have a pit on the inside, which makes them difficult to prepare. You have to get the flesh out while getting through the pit as well, and getting the shell off. So it's a little bit of labor to get through these, and I'm thinking about time right now as my major consideration, and how much time I have to get through all of this. So I'm going to break down these rambutans, and this will be for a sauce. The sauce will contain Thai red curry paste, coconut milk, chicken stock, and it will be vinegared and salted. In hindsight, I could have done a lot more with this sauce, but the reason I didn't was because I was concerned about the time. This is my first time doing a 4-ingredient, 30-minute challenge like this, so I was trying to be really conservative with what I did to make sure that I had enough time for everything. It turns out that I had a lot of time relative to what I had to do, so that means I'm getting more and more aggressive every time with what I'm going to be presenting and preparing. So now you can see again that I'm going through these rambutans and just trying to get those all butchered and separated out for the sauce. The rambutans are going to give the sauce a nice delicate sweetness. Rambutans are not incredibly flavorful. They're nice and they're delicate, and I like them for drinks, but they're not really going to stand up extraordinarily well to these flavors unless I'm kind of subtle with them. So I'm definitely going to be mindful of that. So that's my hood above my stove that's making that sound. So you can see now that the rambutans, I've only gotten through a couple of them, and it has been, it's been a minute. So what I'm gonna do here, and what I'm doing off screen, is just attending to the rabbit. So continuing with these rambutans, I'm thinking about sauce. I'm thinking about okra pretty soon as well. The okra will be breaded in cornmeal. This will offset some of the kind of slimy texture of the okra. Okra is not my favorite vegetable to work with. Having analyzed this backwards, what I would have done is I would have cut the okra lengthwise down the center, and then I would have roasted them to dry them out. And a little more oil at this point. That's important because you want to make sure that you're getting that nice sear, okay? And let it sear properly and for a while. Make sure that you're patient with that. So, in hindsight, there's things that I definitely could have embellished on this and done things more ambitiously than I did, but I think it was a good training exercise because my objective is to go on Chopped. I have a series of events coming up in the near future that will set me up for that. So here I am asking Alexa again for the time because she wasn't behaving that night. So okay, now I am checking the rabbit, and it is looking pretty good.
13 minutes, 15 minutes.
It is looking pretty good, and now it goes in the oven. So that oven should be at, I should have put that oven at 400, I think. Now I'm checking the Octopus and testing its resiliency. This ingredient, this Octopus, was not what I had hoped for. So I'm serving a very little amount of it. In hindsight, I could have served a lot more, but the octopus I was presented with really did not look like it was of the best quality, which is very challenging to cook with something that is not ideal or close to it. So now I am getting ready to do some more rambutans. This is what I was talking about before. All these rambutans to get through, and the rabbit and the octopus to get through, was really making me sweat the time. And I will definitely be much more ambitious next time, and I will season or flavor the food much more assertively. I feel like I was a little toned down in this episode. So now I'm testing the oil. Make sure that it's at temperature, because I'm going to be frying the okra in there. And now I'm going to start preparing this sauce. So I'm taking out my blender, and I'll be processing the rambutans in there with chicken stock. Yeah, with chicken stock, so that I can make the base for the sauce. This is my own chicken stock. Making my own chicken stock is very important to me. I have different types of chicken stock recipes that I use for different applications. Same thing with shellfish stock and fish stock and demi-glace. I have subsets of each of those, and this is just my generic base chicken stock. It's not flavored with anything other than chicken feet. Use chicken feet and leeks that you have not cut, just whole leeks, whole carrots, a shallot, a big shallot, or 2 small ones, and some thyme. So this is the rabbit, and it's done now. I'm just checking it, and yes, that is correctly cooked. You can tell by the give on the meat whether it is properly done or not. You want the rabbit to have the texture of kind of like a done chicken thigh. That's the texture that you're going for. So now yeah, that's a little bit of white wine going in with it, and a little bit of vinegar. It's important that you add vinegar to these bases, because it really brightens everything up and enhances the flavor like salt. Salt and vinegar work together to enhance flavors. So now I'll be straining this, so I'm gonna get that ready, and then I'll press it to make sure that I get everything out. You can see there the liquid coming out. Okay. Alright, so again with the timer, on the next one I have the stove timer set, so it's a little easier for me to look at. Now I have this okra, and again, for refinement's sake, I'm taking off the ends. It's not necessary, probably, but I think it's also going to make the presentation a little bit nicer. And I don't need too much okra. So I'm only going to trim those, obviously, that I'm using. So I'm serving this okra along with the surf and turf rabbit and octopus, and that will be dressed with this Thai red coconut curry sauce. Alright, and that's the curry sauce that I'm pulling out right now. And I'm putting a reasonable amount in there. In hindsight, I could have flavored that much more aggressively than I did. I will know that for next time for sure. Now I am adding the coconut milk to it. That is the key to the sweetness, and it is also fundamental to the texture and the mouthfeel. It's going to give the sauce this nice supple mouthfeel because of the coconut fat that's in the coconut milk. There is a lipid component of coconut, and it's coconut oil, and coconut milk contains solid and liquid forms of the coconut. So now I'm making an egg wash for the okra, and I have 6 minutes left, and the the octopus is cooked, the rabbit is cooked, and now I just have to fry the okra and plate. The sauce is made. So here you can see that I'm really cruising. It's not going to take 6 minutes to cook okra, and I don't need this much time, so I could have done a lot more, right? And to be able to be more assertive with the flavors, I think is really what's key for next time, is to be more assertive with the flavors and to be more comfortable with the time, because I really did have enough. So now I am going for some, what is that, some lime, yeah. So now I'm going for some lime for the sauce. That's going to brighten it up nicely. So, and then that's clementine, which is going to add sweetness to the sauce and brighten it up. So now the rabbit. Okay, so I still have 4 minutes, and now all I have to do is carve the rabbit and plate. My okra are in there. They're doing well, and they are actually done. You don't want them too cooked. They'll get limp. Okra is going to have the okra texture, but I will definitely be roasting them next time. That's a thing that in hindsight I wish I had done. So now this is the rabbit, and you can see here I'm going through the thigh part and the then I have to go through them again because I have 4 portions to make on this small amount of rabbit, and you can see that the rabbit's cooked right, you know, and that it has a good texture to it. You can definitely tell that, and I'll have to assemble it with everything else in this very small portion because I just didn't have enough rabbit and I didn't want anything to overpower. So we learned a lot from this one, and we have others coming up, so please come back for those. I will be continuing to train for Chopped. What I don't have in this one is like glam shots of the final product. I have some, but this is our first go at this, and I'm going to continue to train on it as we develop. So now I am sorting out the pieces of rabbit that I am going to plate, and I'm cutting them into even smaller pieces.
Alexa, check timer.
And this is just not the optimal way to present this rabbit. But, I had to do what I had to do with it. So here I'm plating from the center of the plate outwards. That's the way that you plate. And I am going to add my pieces of octopus on top,
Alexa, check timer.
which have shrunk down a lot. I should have added more octopus. And I'm getting the rest of those out. And I'm going to sauce and add the okra. And I still feel like I'm kind of cruising in. Like,
Alexa, check timer.
I'm concerned about the time too much.
Alexa,
And that really is not necessary. I had plenty of time. Plenty of time. Here I'm saucing with 1:20 left. Not really that big of a deal. And then I'm going to add the okra, and then that's it. And this dish is done. So next time, the commentary for me and the note for me for next time is absolutely to be more assertive with my flavors, because I have time to do more. And I wanted to do more. There were embellishments that I could have made, but I chose to take a more conservative route this time. So here I'm just adding a final garnish of some scallions. I don't really garnish very much. I think that if you are just going to put excess things on your food just to make it look prettier, it has no point. But the scallions are going to add crunch, and they're going to add a nice kind of bite to the presentation overall. Now I'm going to sauce a little bit more on top.
Alexa, check timer. Alexa.
And here I go again with the timer.
You have less than 10 seconds left on your 30-minute.
Alright, and I'm done. So,
Ready?
this is my first go at this exercise.
Alright, that's it. I made it. Let's see how we did now. So I'll tell Alexa, stop timer. So I'll tell everybody what I made and give you a good shot of it. So I got rabbit. I got an alternative to lychee kombucha.
Oh, again, rambutans. Yeah, I gotta remember rambutans. I don't know why I messed that up.
It's like lychee.
Yeah.
Rambutan. I got rambutan.
Right.
It's like a lychee. I got a whole octopus, and I got a rabbit. Right. So I made.
All right. Well, please come back. I'll have glam shots of this coming up soon. You can expect a lot of content like this on this channel. And thanks everybody for giving me your attention today.
Then I made a sauce with the fruit, with chicken stock, coconut milk. I strained the stock. I strained the the fruit with the coconut milk and combined that all together into the sauce. And then I fried the okra in cornmeal, so it's nice and crispy. So that is what we have, and I'll give everybody a good shot of